Certaines des raisons pour lesquelles, bien que le port de Montréal, sur une échelle générale, soit considéré comme un port moyen, il demeure l'un des ports intérieurs les plus intéressants et les plus grands au monde. Here on starboard, you can see all of those containers and cargoes because we are sailing along the northern port of Montreal. So in the 60s, the city decided to move the port from the old port, which was now too small, to the east side of the island. This is what created our modern port. And this is the main reason, because it was developed in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it's so small. Of course, it doesn't look like it's a small port because it's very long. It's 25 kilometers long, so about 17 miles. But it's not even a kilometer large. It's not even half a mile large. And it's because we already had houses and streets in the city in the 60s and 70s. So the city could only take, the port could only take one small strip of land. Now, if we compare Montreal with a few different ports in the world. So here, we carry about 35 million tons of stock each year. In New York, they carry 73 million. In Vancouver, the biggest Canadian port, 125 million. In Rotterdam, biggest European port, 450 million. And in the biggest port in the world, Shanghai, they carry more than 700 millions of stock each year. So when we compare, one might think that Montreal is not a very interesting port or a big one. Well, actually, Montreal is an excellent port, but it is also very limited by the river. So naturally here, the St. Lawrence measures between 3 to 7 meters, which is about 12 to 20 feet. That's not enough for a cargo. We had to dredge it, and we did until we reached 11 meters, so 33 feet. It's still not a lot, but now we can welcome small cargoes like the ones you see here. Our biggest cargo, they carry 4,000 containers. The biggest cargoes that go into all of those other ports that I mentioned, they carry 15,000. So that's a huge difference. But Montreal also has two big advantages. And the first one is its location. We're located inside the mainland at 1,600 kilometers inside of the land. Carrying goods by boat is much cheaper than by train. So if you can send your stuff by boat as far as possible, like in Montreal, instead of having to stop in Quebec or even worse in Halifax and spare yourself hundreds and thousands of kilometers of railroad, well, it's much better for the companies. So Montreal has this big advantage on a couple of other ports in Canada. Our second big advantage is the efficiency of the port. So here we carry here the dwell times. This is with the measure we use to evaluate the efficiency of a port. So the dwell time goes between the moment the container comes to the port until the container leaves the port by train. Dwell time in Montreal is less than 48 hours. In New York, it's around 2 weeks, and in Vancouver, it's around 3 weeks. Of course, there's many different reasons for that. One of them is that Montreal built 100 kilometers of railroad here in the port, and that makes it much faster to take the containers from the cargoes, put them on a train, check them, and send them away. So now you have some of the reasons why, even though Montreal on a general scale is a medium-sized port, if you take it remains one of the most important inland port in the world. Behind the cargo now, still on starboard, you can see the top of two big Great Pyramids. Those pyramids are the Olympic Village, so this is where the athletes were living in the games in 76. They have now been transformed into apartments. Derrière le cargo, vous pouvez voir toujours à tribord deux grandes pyramides grises. Alors, ces pyramides sont le village olympique. C'est à cet endroit que les athlètes olympiques résidaient durant les Jeux en 76. Elles ont aujourd'hui été converties en appartements qui sont à louer. Et puis, juste à côté, le revoici, cet édifice au mât incliné, qui est, non pas Cavalière, mais le Stade olympique de Montréal, qui a lui aussi été construit en 76 pour les Jeux. Et il possède la tour inclinée la plus haute au monde avec 165 mètres de haut et un observatoire à son sommet. Regardez les câbles qui se trouvent entre le mât et le toit. C'est qu'à l'époque de sa construction, notre stade possédait un toit ouvrant qui était complètement rétractable grâce au câble, mais malheureusement, la toile n'a pas été assez solide pour les le poids de l'hiver, donc la glace et la neige. Et sous la pression de la glace et de la neige, 5 ans après sa construction, la toile du stade a complètement déchiré. On a donc dû remplacer ce toit ouvrant par un toit solide, qui fait bien mieux l'affaire, mais qui malheureusement ne s'ouvre plus. Le stade était aussi la maison des Expos, l'équipe de baseball de Montréal, jusqu'à ce qu'il soit vendu à Washington. Donc on l'utilise maintenant surtout pour des événements importants et puis des concerts. D'ailleurs, autour du stade, vous pourrez vous rendre au jardin botanique, à l'insectarium, au planétarium et bien sûr à l'observatoire du Madison. So right beside the two big pyramids, you can see it again, the big circle building with the inclined tower. Since we are going to not see it in a few seconds, I'm not going to talk about it quite yet, but right after this big beige building made of different silos, which is a grain elevator. So when Montreal was the most important grain port of the country, city had 5 of those grain elevators. In the 60s, though, the markets of grains moved from Europe to China. So then Vancouver took our place. Because of that, almost all of our grain elevators weren't used anymore. So 3 of them were put down when the old port became the part that we now have.